Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, evening, middle of the night, wherever you are. I am Pamela Fagan Hutchins, and this is Wine, Women, and Writing, the show where I talk with other writers about their awesome female characters and the real life or other events that they're based upon. And we do it with a little bit of irreverence, occasional sliding into oversharing if we're lucky, and always with something in the cup, but not wine. This would be black tea for me today. I am coming to you from a new place every week these days. It's like, where's Waldo? Today I'm in the tiny barn apartment of my parents' place in De Leon, Texas, a town you've never heard of, I know. And I have no idea where I'll be next week. Last week I was in the U.S. Virgin Islands, the week before that Dallas, the week before that Wyoming. So this is how we keep it fun. And I am going to encourage you to go out to my website, PamelaFaganHutchins.com, where you can see past shows and upcoming shows. You can find out what the books are going to be, read before we get there. And I am going to switch the view here, so everybody hang with me for a second. There we go. Now Carla and I are side by side. And you can also get a copy of, or a link to a copy of my new release, Livewire, from my USA Today best-selling and several fashion-winning romantic mystery series, What Doesn't Kill You. I've learned to say that very quickly. So my guest today is not in Wyoming, Texas, the U.S. Virgin Islands, or anywhere else crazy like that. Carla Neggers, New York Times bestseller, is coming to us from Vermont, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
Welcome to the show.
I'm happy to be here. Great to meet you.
Great to meet you too. I think we have a Pam Stack friend in common, if I hear correctly.
Yeah, she's awesome, isn't she?
Oh, she's wonderful. She's absolutely wonderful. That and as I was pre-show stalking you, my normal prep for these shows, I was noticing that probably predating me, because I don't remember it only for that reason, that you were president of Novelists Inc. at one point in time.
Yes, I was, and I served on the board in several capacities and helped organize conferences, and it's just a fantastic group. And I had a lot of fun, met a lot of great writers.
Well, I've only been active in it for a couple of years, but I've really, really enjoyed it. So thank you for your past contributions and service and making it possible for it to continue for all of us that are still enjoying it. So Carla is, as she said, in Vermont, which is beautiful this time of year. And Carla has a tendency to write books that are set up in New England, where it is gorgeous in the summer and the fall. And in fact, has a new release that's out called Stone Bridges that is set up there as well. So before we talk about Stone Bridges, I wanted to get her to mention something she was telling me before we went on, which is that in addition to Stone Bridges, she has a couple of other announcements that I want to be sure you avid readers of Carla will hear about. And that was about some action in some of your other series.
Yes. I have the Sharp and Donovan suspense series, romantic suspense, and Imposter's Lure, which came out in hardcover last summer, comes out in paperback on July 30th. So very excited about that. So many readers, I used to be one of them. I buy more hardcovers now, and ebooks, but a lot of readers just wait for that paperback. So I'm really thrilled about that. And then the next book in this Sharp and Donovan series, Rivals Break, will be out in hardcover, ebook, and audio on August 27th. So very
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you guys, that means you can go out and snag you some. Go get you a paperback. Well, and wait a month and you can get a new hardback as well. So I mentioned earlier that a lot of Carla's books, and for those of you that are readers, you really know this, are set in New England. So with your New England bent, you've done how many books overall-ish? Do you have an exact number?
Oh, my exact number is somewhere around 75. How about that for exact? I think it's 76 or 77. I counted them up because you have novellas. Do you count those? And then there's the reissues, and so it can get a little bit confusing. But it's something like that. And Stone Bridges is actually the 9th novel and the 10th story. or the 10th story in the night. See how bad I am? Anyway, in the Swift River Valley series, which is set where I grew up in West Central Massachusetts. You know, for such a little state that we have East and West Central as opposed to just Central. But that's how we think of it, because this Quabbin Reservoir is kind of right in the middle of Massachusetts, and that's it's a man-made reservoir, and all these little towns, 5 little towns, were taken to create the reservoir when they flooded the valley. So that's kind of where I grew up. And then the Sharp and Donovan series, Rivals Break, is the 9th novel and 10th story. That one I have like firmly in my mind, of the Sharp and Donovan series. And it's actually it's based in Boston. It's a small FBI team, and we have Emma Sharp, who's an art crimes expert, and Colin Donovan, who's a undercover FBI agent, and they're part of a Boston-based team. But the stories also are set in southern Maine, where they're both from, and Ireland. There's almost every book has I think it might be every book has an Irish scene in it, because Emma's grandfather is a world-renowned private art detective based in Dublin. So yeah, it's fun to we go to Ireland a lot, so it's fun to set something there. It's not the whole books. All the book is not set in Ireland, except for the 3rd one, Declan's Cross, is almost entirely in Ireland.
Well, it's fun for a writer to vary it up like that, but it's fun for readers too. It's like a vacation in every book. You get to visit more than one place, and it's active. You know, I love that. What's the Ireland connection for Carla? What's drawn you there?
It's largely through, believe it or not, my son-in-law. He's of Irish descent, and he and our daughter went to Ireland on their honeymoon, and my daughter came back so excited and said, "You've got to go to Ireland." So we started going, and we go 2 to 3 times a year. And our daughter now has 3 little kids, and she's a history professor. So she's been busy with that. But we've gotten to Ireland with family with them 3 times during this period of time that we've been going. And it's really fun because there's this little town, for those who know Ireland, on the Beara Peninsula, and which is on the southwest coast, and where our son-in-law has family. His mother is in contact with relatives there, cousins and removed cousins and all of that, and it's like they never left. It's really fun to connect with them, and so we go and stay there and see people. But as far as me with any family there, no, my father was actually Dutch, so he's a Dutch immigrant.
Well, according to 23andMe, I need to go to Ireland because I'm almost the Fagan. I'm almost all something from that area. So I love hearing your stories and reading stories that are set there. Got to go eventually. But even more, I love traveling with adult kids. It sounds like that this has been some big family adventures for you guys going back and forth to Ireland.
Yes, we do a lot together. In fact, my grandson, who just turned 10, is and he's a riot. He's a big reader, and he's just, his mother has a book out, history text, and then and I have my books out, and he's kind of fascinated by it. But he's here swimming and playing golf and tennis and watching TVs that his little sisters don't want to watch. So and my daughter's arriving with the 2 little girls, and we'll just have an afternoon together. So we love to do that. They're in the Boston area. And but we love to travel together too. And I have a son who's younger than our daughter, and we're going to Maine next week. So
oh, yay. Well, my husband's family has a place up on Lake Moosilauke. I don't know how far Rangeley is from where you are in Vermont, but I love time up there.
That is a gorgeous area. We have really good friends who have a place on Rangeley Lake.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so we drive over to Moosilauke, which Moose And I'm not even going to try. I haven't had enough coffee, but it's a beautiful, beautiful area. How fortunate, yeah, to have a.
They've had it since my husband, who's 56, they've had it since he was 6 years old. So it's a beloved place with lots of family memories. And so for me, Maine is just like this oosh of family love. Like, oh, let's go to Maine with everybody.
That's awesome.
Well, and so with your books, you have lots of Massachusetts ties. You have lots of Maine ties, Ireland ties. You've got some in Vermont as well, where you're living now. Yes or no?
Yes, I do. The Black Falls series. It's really a trilogy. Cold Pursuit, Cold River, and Cold Dawn. And they just got this digital refresh. That's of the digital covers. It's not, the print covers are what they are. So it's always fun to see a new cover on a book, and that came out a few years ago, and so it's nice to have it get fresh life through these reissues. And if you go on my website or off to an online store, you'll find them coming up. But they're still available. I think most of them are available in print still too.
I love these digital refreshes because, like it or not, and I do like a book in a bathtub, and my, my phone with my books on it is not so good in the bathtub, but like it or not, so much of what is consumed by readers these days is consumed on electronic devices. And so we have this easy way of being able to give them something contemporary and fresh with a book that still has life and legs in it, without doing it and putting it in the dead tree version. So I think it's really cool. It's one of the exciting things about what can be done. But speaking of really cool, here we are on Wine, Women, and Writing, the show, and getting back to stone bridges. Adrienne is a wine, I can't even say the word, I'm so Texas, sommelier. Am I, background?
Yes, we'll call her an enthusiast, a wine enthusiast.
Thank you. Oh, that's so much easier. So she's into wine and has taken a job as a first-time innkeeper in Knightsbridge. So tell us a little bit about the series and about Stone Bridges itself. Okay,
well, the story's set in this Swift River Valley, and my granddaughter just popped in. I texted them to not come until we're done, but she's 6. So we're doing a fairy garden together, so that'll be fun. So and that's kind of defines a little bit about the Swift River Valley series, which is a lot about friendships and family in a small town in New England. And that's Knightsbridge, which it's a fictional town, but it's kind of inspired by my hometown, which was in this reservoir area, and it's a little town. It feels like time stopped, but it didn't. And Adrienne was just a really interesting character for me to get to know. She first appears, you don't have to read Echo Lake in order to understand Stone Bridges, but she first appears in Echo Lake as a secondary character, where she has gotten to know and realize that a retired diplomat living who has it was a kind of his country home in Knightsbridge is now retired and living there, kind of uncomfortably retired. He really thinks he did it too soon, and she didn't realize that he is her biological father until very recently. And so in Stone Bridges, she comes back. She thinks she's never landed anywhere for long, which is one of the great things about her being a wine enthusiast, is she can be in a lot of different places. She can stay, she can go to France, she can pop into New York. She's from Northern California, but she has this kind of wandering lifestyle. So here she comes to this small town, and she figures she'll do this innkeeping and kind of get this in. It's run by 2 friends who it's owned by, but they've got too much going on in their own lives and they need some help. I don't know if you've ever been in that position where you just like, yeah, I need some help. So that's where Olivia and Maggie are. And so here comes Adrian to help them, and she figures, oh, 6 months tops or something like that. And but she meets like in her first day that's there, she meets Adam Sloan, and she met him briefly when she was there over the winter, but he's got some work to do at the inn, and he's a stonemason, and he don't want to live anywhere else but Knightsbridge. He's one of 6 siblings, which is always fun for me because I'm one of 7, third of 7. And so she was just a really interesting character, and getting that, what is home for her? What is home for him? And why is he so rooted to this area? And then we get to know a little bit about dinosaurs, because these 3 little boys are playing with dinosaurs and they go missing in the woods very early on in the book.
I learned a lot about dinosaurs, and I thought with 2 sons that I knew dinosaurs, but you schooled me, Carla. I learned some new dinosaur names in this book. It was really fun, and I loved that because the stonework in New England is so, when you think of New England, you think of stone fences, and you think of the beautiful stone base work on bridges and things like that. And so to think of a stonemason, you couldn't think of anyone more grounded in a place, right? He's absolutely going to be there where his craft is. And so it really did make for a wonderful way for these 2 to have to find a way to make their lives fit. Can't they? So it was very cool. I was trolling your Facebook page earlier just to see, said earlier in the show, I think she's in Vermont. I'd actually gone to your Facebook page and just was looking around to see if you're like traveling in Africa or something, so I wouldn't say something stupid like that. However, when I did that and saw the lovely flowers, I also saw pictures of stone fences. And it really struck me, since we were talking today about stone bridges and about the stonemasons. So there they were in all their beauty. And they are something. It makes me want to go back to New England in the right time of the year when it's not super cold.
Oh yeah, it's the stone walls when we were kids growing up. The 7 of us, we have land, and the stone walls go through the woods, and because it used to be farmland, and they created the stone walls to get some land that they could plant stuff in and to mark off the fields. And so now they're surrounded by woods, and we would just go and follow stone walls and see where we ended up.
That's pretty cool. And with 7 siblings, there must have always been something to do, some trouble to get into outside.
Yeah, especially the way we grew up on this little plot of land, and we just didn't have, I remember I was very tense as a 12-year-old, and I went to the doctor, and he said, you should take up tennis or something. I'm like, tennis? I'm not gonna play tennis. I live in this little town, and but I would
tennis courts.
Tennis courts. What? But I would climb trees, and that we did a lot of climbing of trees. But I would go off by myself and climb up in a tree with a pad and pen, and sit up on my favorite branch and write and read. I got lots of books out of the library, and my hometown library is kind of like the library in Stonebridge, the public library, which actually sits on the town common. Mine was just off the common, and is rumored to be haunted. My little library was rumored to be haunted, and it's just got all these great little spaces in it, little places to kind of curl up with a book.
The memories of my hometown library still, it's a smell as well as it's a 5 senses memory. And so that those first few libraries you fall in love with. So what I'm hearing from you is that really the Swift River Valley series itself is a love letter of sorts to your childhood, to your siblings. It's this family of 6 siblings, not quite the same number, but close, in the town that's based on the one you grew up with. And you can really see a lot of love in the books, a lot of love for the area and the people. So that's what I'm taking from this conversation.
I think that's true to a degree, certainly. There's some characters who have nothing at all to do with anything in my background. Like the launch book of the series, Secrets of the Lost Summer, we have Olivia, who is a graphic designer, moving back to her hometown of Knightsbridge and finding this inn, which Adrian's taking charge of in Stone Bridges. But she gets involved with a guy who made quite the fortune with his best friend from kindergarten out in Southern California. So I draw in some Southern California stuff. I have family out in San Diego, so.
That's fun. I bet they love it too. It's like, when's our turn? You know, throw us in there somewhere. Well, I want to be sure that everybody that wasn't catching the very beginning of the show hears again, if you could tell them about the releases that you have out, in both series, all of the new releases you have.
Sure. Well, Stone Bridges came out earlier this year in the Swift River Valley series, and it's a fun book. It's been getting a lot of great reader response. And then Imposter's Lure, part of the Sharp and Donovan series, comes out in paperback. It's out now in hardcover, audio, and ebook, and that comes out on July 30th in paperback, and on August 27th, the next book, brand new, Rivals Break.
Yay for brand new. Well, and you guys, I'm always supposed to, at this point in the show, remind everyone, this is a solely owned and copyrighted production of Authors on the Air Global Radio Network, with many thanks to the great Pumbaa of our group, Pam Stack. Thank you, Pam. And also to let you know that if you hop out to my website, you can not only find the name of the book that we've been talking about here, Stone Bridges from Carla. Go out and catch up if you didn't read ahead, as well as next week's book, which is Liar by K.L. Slater. And I'm really looking forward to that one too, and My Live Wire. And other than that, I want to say thank you so much for being on the show. It was a pleasure to meet you, Carla.
Well, my pleasure. Great talking with you. Hope to see you in person sometime.
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll catch up at an RWA or a something conference one of these days. For the rest of you guys, go out, read a good book, and catch me next time with K.L. Slater. Have a good one.